Might halfway actually press this button.
Small chance of success. What are we waiting for?
Fellas, I feel this is my lucky day.
Brilliant.
Hey, and welcome to another episode of Rankum. This is going to be a fun one today. With WrestleMania last week, the topic that was voted on was top 12 Overdue Hall of Fame inductees, and should be fun. But over here we've got Jacob. Jacob, how's it going?
It's going well. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk about this.
Also here we've got Nico. Nico, how's it going?
How you guys doing? Short-lived pro wrestler, as it says in the lower third. So I guess I have some personal and professional stakes in this. I don't know. But yeah, we're going to answer some questions of like, who's left to even be put in the Hall of Fame, let alone overdue inductees. So this will be fun.
And last but not least, we've got Richie. Richie, how's it going?
I feel like they they could put they can put anybody in. They could justify anybody. Many Tory Wilson's in the Hall of Fame. If Kokobe wears in the Hall of Fame, the barrier to entry is not high. Just so. So yeah.
And it's one of those ones that I'm interested. And basically, what I said in the private chat, I'm going to reiterate here. I said like, if they're in as a tag team, you can suggest them as a solo inductee if you want, or vice versa, because some people can be multiple. But that being said, and celebrities and their activeness, and if they're in other promotions, it doesn't count. We just go to this is our theorizing who should be in, whether or not they legitimately will be put in due to reasons is the other thing. But Jacob, who's the first one you're going to bring up?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this. I think there's at least a few obvious ones, and for me personally, it doesn't get any more obvious than Owen Hart. Now he's not in for obvious reasons, but like we're taking that out. He should be in. He should have been in quite a long time ago. In my humble opinion, I thought he was the better of the Harts when it came to wrestling. And yeah, like his career was unfortunately cut short. Who knows where his career could have gone, but I think the career he did have was still Hall of Fame worthy. I hope that, whatever issues are going on can get settled and we can see Owen Hart in the Hall of Fame because he absolutely deserves to be there.
Nico, what do you say about Owen Hart?
So I don't really have that strong of a connection to the Hart family that a lot of other fans of wrestling and professional wrestlers themselves do. But I do understand that Owen Hart was a great professional wrestler who was cut way before his time, taken from us way before his time. Should have probably been WWF champion and just never got the chance to do that. Interesting thing to me is wrestling was not his main priority. His family was. And I think if there was a way that he could have just spent all day with his family, he would have taken it. So to still be that good at wrestling and to not care about it as much as maybe Brett did, it just shows like how good he actually was. So yeah, I agree with this. I think Owen Hart is definitely worthy of being in there, even though we realize Martha's going to put the kibosh on that every time.
Yeah, Richie, what do you say about Owen Hart?
Yeah, I knew it was probably going to be the first one brought up. I would have brought him up if Jacob didn't. So yeah, definitely. I know it's going to be Martha is going to put the kibosh on that. I'd like to think that he'd go in eventually, but yeah, I don't know. It's just I can see where she's coming from, but also it's like I don't know, man. Like I want just selfishly just want him to be in. he's just one of the, like he's one of the best. Like that WrestleMania 10 match with Bret Hart still holds up.
So
It's one of the best pure wrestling matches I've ever seen. So, yeah, I absolutely yes.
Yeah. I easily agree with this. And I'm don't really know too much about like when it comes to wrestling. Like, I never really saw much of his matches and that, but from what I've heard, is I understand that he's a really talented wrestler and all that, and I think from what he's really great. So, yeah, he is it going to be yes for me. He's so he's going to be the first one on this list. And Nico, who is the next one you're going to bring up?
So I'm going to bring up someone who is in the Impact Hall of Fame, former NWA World's Heavyweight Champion, former simultaneous WWF Intercontinental and Tag Team Champion, former King of the Ring in 1998. I'm talking, of course, about the world's most dangerous man, Ken Shamrock. One of many who have danced in both professional wrestling and mixed martial arts. Ken Shamrock, a former King of Pancrase, former UFC Super Fight champion, won a couple UFC tournaments as well. He brought a pro wrestling feel to when he would fight in the UFC, specifically whenever it was against Tito Ortiz or Kimbo Slice. He should be commended for just like if Impact gave him the rub, WWE should give him the rub as well. I understand that sometimes he can be a little bit of a pain in the neck to deal with, buying his own hype. The steroids issues are also there, but he still has the accolades to back up everything he's accomplished. So, yeah, I say Ken Shamrock.
Richie, what do you say about Ken Shamrock?
Yeah, he remarkably took to wrestling to the transition between MMA and like sort of Dr. Water. Like he became a good wrestler very quickly. And he got over very quickly. I feel like his speech will be quite interesting. He's one of those guys you give him a mic, it might be like you never know what he's going to say. Kind of like a Ric Flair Conan situation. Even though Conan was fine this week. I think he definitely deserves it for all his accolades. Even if you talk about his accolades outside of wrestling, because they do factor those in that these days. So, so I'd say yes, sure.
Yeah, I mean, once again, Ken Shamrock's someone that I've heard a lot about from name. I think I've seen a couple of his matches, but this is this is why I got wrestling experts on to do this panel, because I knew that a lot of this is not what I would be able to do on my own. But yeah, I'm going to say yes, like just based on sort of what Nico said and what I've sort of heard about him as well. So yes, Ken Shamrock. Jacob, what do you say about Ken Shamrock?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't consider myself an expert, but thank you. Just a fan. But I will agree. I think Ken Shamrock deserves to go in. I think they've got people in who have less accolades, and I think that the accolades speak for itself, but also just for the impact he made. Like not only coming in for that WrestleMania 13 match with Austin and Hart, and then he came into his own very quickly, and I enjoy going back and watching his matches. I think he was a good in-ring performer. There's a funny a clip that I watched of he was doing a segment with The Rock, and The Rock was supposed to hit him with a chair, and he's like, and you don't lay off, like you give it to me. And
you fucking
I don't want to do that. Yeah, he levels him and just like goes down like. So like his commitment was there, and so I think
with a chair.
The Rock likes to hit people with chairs when given the green light.
Yeah. that Kentrock Shamrock is making the list. Richie, who's the next one you're going to bring up?
Sort of, this was a person that sort of like maybe connected to Owen Hart in a way because it's sort of the same faction. I'm surprised he's still not in. I'm gonna and given his wrestling career as a whole, like he still had a memorable run even though it was short in WWE. I'm gonna go Brian freaking Pillman. Brian Pillman is like such a memorable character in wrestling. He's such a great wrestler. You know, he was a great wrestler before he even started the loose cannon gimmick. As a cruiserweight, Flying Brian. He was great. But yeah, when he became loose, started doing a sort of loose cannon-ish gimmick in WCW. It was really good. There's a you never knew never know if it was going to fly off the handle. There's a segment where like he goes behind Bobby Heenan and Bobby Heenan doesn't even know he's going to do that, and you can hear Bobby Heenan on the headset go, "What the fuck are you doing?" But like he just got so much charisma and so much he's just enigmatic personality. You can't take your eyes off him. And then there's that infamous thing where he showed up on ECW and he made a deal with Eric Bischoff. It's like, release me from my contract. Actually release my contract and we'll make it out to be like real. And I'll go to ECW and then I'll to make it look real. But then I'll eventually end up back in WCW. But no, he tricked him and he saw him in WWE. And then, unfortunately, he had a really bad. He was hurt a lot of the time. He had a really bad car accident, which fucked up his ankle. And and so he was on painkillers a lot, which ultimately shortened his life. But he's still a really good wrestler, very charismatic, and probably the more iconic moment in WWE is the sort of the Austin. Brian Pillman, the gun segment, which they got them in trouble. But Brian Pillman Jr. in AEW. I think he's still in AEW. I don't know. Never know sometimes. Carrying on his legacy. I hope Brian Pillman gets a bigger push, maybe in Ring of Honor. Still carrying on that legacy. So I think Brian Pillman should definitely deserves to get in.
Is that the one that famously pointed a gun at Austin at one point? This is one I've seen a lot on various of the clip show DVDs I've kind of got. Been talking about some of this, and it's one of those ones like I think. Just for the character alone, I think like he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame easily. So I'm going to go yes. Jacob, what do you say about Brian Pillman?
I'm also going to give this one a yes. I think he deserves it. I think he was able to switch his character up, which was pretty good. Yeah, his tag team with Stone Cold and WCW, the feud with him and WWE, and just his in-ring work alone. I think the loose cannon stuff is all pretty good. I'll give it a I think he's got a good career.
And Nico, what do you say about Brian Pillman?
Well, I think the majority is out. I honestly would have said no on this, and I'm kind of looking at it from the perspective of if we're comparing what we just said with Owen Hart a little while ago, two guys who are taken from us way too soon. At least we got to see what Owen's potential was and how it was wasted by the company he worked for. Brian Pillman, the company wasted WCW kind of wasted him before he got to show more of his potential than we got to see. And then he got hurt before he could actually show any of that potential in WWF. So I don't feel like he did enough during the time he was alive, whether it was his fault or whether it was the fault of the companies he worked for, to actually show whether he was Hall of Fame worthy or not. That's just me. So the majority is out. I don't get this one. That's fine.
Yeah, so that Brian Pillman's kept making it in. I'm going to go for this one first because this is one that I'm surprised hasn't been put into the Hall of Fame yet. His father is in the Hall of Fame, and but it this guy is also a little bit controversial as well of late. I'm talking about Vincent Kennedy.
Oh, Scott, I thought you were going to bring it up.
Look, say what you want about his like history of late and all that. But the thing is, when he was in his prime and running the company and all that, I think he's done a lot to deserve to be in Hall of Fame. And I think for what he's sort of done for the company and just keeping it going and all that, whether or not you agree with his creative decisions and all that, it doesn't matter. But it's like, even just for the stuff as an on-screen character, I think is enough to, in my opinion, to put him in the Hall of Fame. Jacob, what do you say about Vincent Kennedy McMahon?
Yeah, when I said at the top of the show, I think there's a few obvious ones. Vince is one of them. Say what you want about him as a person. I think he deserves to go in. Like, just look at what he's done with the company up until the last few years or whatever. Product hasn't been what it used to be, but there's no denying that for that you look at the Attitude Era, the ruthless aggression, and then just whether he was behind the scenes or on screen, I think he made an impact, and most of that impact was good. Sure, there's some negative there, but I think you can say that about quite a few people that are in the Hall of Fame. So, I think eventually he does get in. It's hard to say overdue, because like when does he stop being involved? We thought 6 months ago or whatever, but that's not the case anymore. So, he'll get in. I think he deserves it. So I'll say yes.
Nico, what do you say about Vincent Kennedy McMahon?
Well, here's the thing. I guess as long as Donald Trump is still an active member of the WWE Hall of Fame, I feel like that kind of sets the precedent that you can put Vince in there too, and he has certainly done a shit ton of stuff worthy of being in the Hall of Fame. Granted, he's also done a lot of stuff that like cost the company money that they could have been making. Like CM Punk said it himself best. Vince McMahon is a millionaire that should have been a billionaire. And eventually he did make it to billionaire status. See the sale that just happened, this week, last week? I can't remember. It was this week. But yeah, he gets in. He gets in.
Richie, what do you say about Vince McMahon?
I guess I would have slightly gone no, just because I don't know. I don't maybe think he deserves it, but I don't know if he's overdue. Just because it's like maybe he'd get him when he's. I don't think he wants. Yeah, I think they'd probably induct him when he dies. I don't know. Like, because
if that ever happens.
Yeah.
Vince will never die.
Yeah, because I don't know if he wants to. Yeah. Like, he's only overdue because he doesn't want to go in when he's alive. So I got so I don't know. I would have said no, but I get why people would say yes. But it's a tough one. You put people in a tough situation, Malcolm.
Yeah. But Jacob, we go back to you for your next nomination.
Yeah, I brought up in the private chat celebrities, because there were a couple that I was thinking I'm going to try it early to see if I can get them in. One is a former world champion.
I know who you're talking about already.
Involvement. I think if Drew Carey can make it in the celebrity wing, if Kid Rock can make it in the celebrity wing, I think David Arquette should be able to make it in the celebrity wing. Former world champion, and now he's still dabbling in wrestling, and he's doing pretty good. If you have not seen You Can't Kill David Arquette, highly recommend it. Great documentary. So I'm gonna try my take a shot at for David Arquette.
Nico, what do you say about David Arquette?
he was honestly going to be one of my picks. He was actually going to be my first pick, and then I thought about Ken Shamrock and realized, I should probably save David Arquette for later. But yeah, listen. Say what you will about how he got that WCW World Heavyweight Championship. He didn't want it. He didn't want that title because he knew how bad that would look for the company as they were trying to be taken seriously during a time when things were kind of going down for them. He also didn't want to disrespect the boys in the back who were working their asses off, trying to put on the best product they could in WCW. And we basically gave him the Ahmed Best in Star Wars treatment for like a decade plus after that. And what does he do? Eventually, he finds a way to find it in himself to go back out there, to go to the ring, to go to championship wrestling from Hollywood, to put in the hours of training he needed to get better, to actually give this a proper try. And he did good work. He did the business proud. Albeit until Nicolas Cage
killed by Nick Gage.
Yeah, Nick Gage almost killed him. That's for sure. That's a thing that happened. But the fact of the matter is, he tried to make it right. He understood the consequences of what he did, or rather, what WCW put upon him all those years ago, and he tried to make it right. And I think he did make it right. So I think he's worthy of the celebrity wing. Hell, it doesn't even have to be the celebrity wing in my eyes. I think he's just done good for the business here. And so, yes, I'm going with David Arquette.
Richie, what do you say about David Arquette?
Yeah, I think so. There's only a couple of celebrities, maybe 2 or 3 celebrities that I could think of that actually worthy of putting in the celebrity wing, not just because not just ones that made an appearance, like maybe Arnie's or whatever. The David Arquette's one of them. I after watching You Cannot Kill David Arquette, he's just a really likable dude. So, and I would like to hear his speech as well. And it's just, I don't know, he's got a cool story, and I wouldn't mind seeing him. I wouldn't mind seeing him wrestle on TV before he fully hangs it up. I know he was trying to do something with AEW. There's talks with AEW that kind of fizzled out, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, I would say yes.
I'm kind of curious what JPO would have said about this, because I know he was one of the ones that said in the chat it'll be hard to sell him on celebrities, but I think he'll be okay with David Arquette personally. But yeah, I think David Arquette is one of those ones I think he's worthy, a bit more worthy of being in than the likes of Drew Carey and stuff like that. It's an easy yes for David Arquette for me. Nico, we go back to you.
Okay. Shoot, I just forgot who I wanted to suggest. Okay, let me ask this because I don't want to waste a vote here. But I don't want to waste a pick here, but I need to ask. We know Batista has been set for several years now to be going into the Hall of Fame. It's just been a matter of scheduling issues of when he can actually make it to the ceremony to accept the ring. So do we want to propose a gentleman's agreement to just not suggest him because he's probably going to go in and either he'll go in either. I'd imagine he'll probably go next year, the year after, or whatever. Yes.
I would suggest him.
Yeah, I wasn't going to suggest him for that fact that he is tentatively already announced to be inducted.
Okay. I just want to clarify that. So I'll go with the other guy in Hollywood who's kind of in his situation that hasn't gotten an induction yet. We mentioned him before, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Yeah.
I don't even need to say anything. I can just say his name and that's fine. You know what he's accomplished.
Yeah.
Mic drop.
Do I need to give? I'm not. That'd be ridiculous.
If you want to say anything about it,
what does a Rock ever accomplish? You know what I mean? The Tooth Fairy. No. Doom. Yeah. Like I guess it's a matter of a matter of scheduling, but also like he himself had like they usually up until like Rey Mysterio they sort of set the precedent that usually you're fully retired before you get inducted, and he didn't consider himself retired necessarily, and maybe they want to try and get the match with Roman Reigns done before
It's not going to happen, man. He's got PTSD from his abs tearing on him in that WrestleMania 29 match.
Yeah.
He's not coming back with the schedule that he has for his movies.
Yeah, I know.
Unless it's a 6-second match with Eric Rowan.
Eric Rowan, yeah. So, obviously, I'd say yes. Yeah, I mean, if they get him, look, I'll say this: if they get him in the Hall of Fame next year, then Batista's gonna have to wait again because I think Batista will headline a Hall of Fame, so it won't be next. So, and The Rock's not gonna be second fiddle. So, yeah, I'll say definitely.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, like. I think at this point, even if they're fully retired, they're going to randomly come back for matches every now and then. I mean, but yeah, I mean, it's one of those ones like I went through this list. I did not realize The Rock had never been inducted. I think the perfect time to induct him would have been at the time when he had his match against John Cena because he was going to be there. Like, but yeah, Kid Rock got inducted before The Rock. So yeah, it's a yes for me for The Rock. Jacob, what do you say about The Rock?
Yes.
Yeah. And The Rock is making this list. That was easy. Richie, what is the next one you're going to bring up?
Yeah, I'm going to bring up someone who's technically in, but not individually. And I think this person needs to be individually in the Hall of Fame. And again, I don't consider this person to be in the Hall of Fame. This person needs their own individual induction. And, regardless of what the issues they have, I'm going to go China. She needs her own individual induction. Like part of DX, whatever. Like, but that's just DX. I want her the individual accomplishments acknowledged. I think she's I think she did a lot. For women, women in wrestling, and also I think she was revolutionary at the time. And I think she got a kind of a raw deal at the end there. Like, she got cheated on, and then she had to obviously her kind of her life went kind of a bit of a downward spiral. But I think her contributions to wrestling shouldn't be overshadowed. And yes, again, she's technically in, but it's with DX, and I kind of just don't. I feel like it's just kind of overshadowed a bit. But I think that there's a couple people on this list I'll probably bring up. I feel like they're in, but not individually. And I think that individual accomplishments need to be kind of put on the platform. So I'm gonna go China.
Yeah, China is one of those ones that I'm surprised was never inducted on her own. And I think her individual accomplishments does need to be there as well. And well, yes, I know it's only really been a few years since DX has been inducted, but I still think China on her own really needs to be there as well. But Jacob, what do you say about China?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great that she's inducted with DX, but I think she deserves to be inducted as an individual performer as well. I mean, she's a 2-time Intercontinental Champion. She was, I believe WWE ranked her number 4 of like the 50 greatest female superstars. So I mean, if you're number 4, I feel like that's deserving of the Hall of Fame because I feel like there's more than 4 women in the Hall of Fame. And if you're saying there are only 3 better than her, then give her due. Give her her spot. Let her go in as an individual. I say yes.
I mean, the Bella Twins got him before China got an individual. But Nico, what do you say about China?
Regardless of whether or not I think the entirety of the Attitude Era is kind of garbage, or at least the majority of it. China was a history maker. Only woman to have held the Intercontinental Championship. Was almost at one point scheduled to beat Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania for the heavyweight title. Went to Japan after she kind of got excommunicated from WWF and wrestled men in the infamous New Japan ring. Like she made a lot of history that Rhea Ripley can only hope to achieve based on whether or not the action figure deals in her contract prevent her from doing so. And that's a real thing. That's why intergender matches are kind of harder to come by these days. It's because of the action figure deals that they have with Mattel and the other companies and whatnot.
She wants to face Gunther, and that's going to be interesting if that happens.
Fuck Gunther, have her fight Roman. We do not have these conversations about Rhea Ripley fighting Roman and Gunther without China laying the groundwork for her, without Medusa and I think Jacqueline winning the cruiserweight titles in their respective companies as well. But we're talking about China here. So, yes, China all the way.
Yeah, I can just imagine all the WWE TikTokers like if it's like Cody couldn't beat Roman Reigns, but yet Rhea Ripley can.
But believable too.
She stared Solo Sikoa down, and I was like, "Ooh, this is a dream match I didn't know I wanted."
Want to see that?
But if that China is going to make the list, and I'm gonna, for me, there's multiple ways I want to go about this, but I'm going to go this way. I'm not too sure what this tag team is up to these days. I think they're currently in AEW. I'm not too sure, but they are definitely a big staple of WWE, and like everything they've done as a tag team is just great. I'm talking about the Hardy Boys, like Matt and Jeff. Once again, another individual, which is two people, which has really been sort of really iffy outside of the ring.
Jordan's coming in, by the way.
Perfect.
Yeah, but yeah, all right. Cool.
But yeah, I think the Hardy Boys definitely deserve to be there. Like they were part of the infamous tag team feuds between Edge and Christian and the Dudley Boys, and I think they definitely deserve to be here. But Jacob, what do you say about the Hardy Boys?
It's interesting because I wasn't really thinking about them because Matt's still Matt's still active. Jeff, I think, hopefully is coming back soon. And I don't know. Part of me thinks they're not quite done yet. And I know now with Rey Mysterio's induction, that doesn't really mean anything because if you've had a long career, maybe you can make it in. But I think for the purposes of this list, as of right now, I'm going to say no, and that's not to say they're not Hall of Fame worthy. They absolutely are, and I absolutely think they'll get in one day. I'm just for the purposes of this list, I'm going to say no.
Nico, what do you say about the Hardy Boys?
They definitely have the accolades necessary to be in the Hall of Fame. I think they've held all 5 versions of the WWE and/or World Tag Team titles that WWE has ever carried. They've also been Impact Tag Team Champions. They've also been Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions. They were almost going to be AEW Tag Team Champions, and then that kind of fell apart. But the key word here is overdue. And that's making me rethink my next option here now that I've revisited that overdue thing. But I don't think they're overdue yet. So give it a few more years, and then we can put them in there, but not yet.
Richie, what do you say about the Hardy Boys?
They're definitely Hall of Fame worthy, and they'll go in eventually. But yeah, I would say no too, just because they're still active, and yeah, they're not. The story isn't finished, and you also, I do like Jeff might have gone in before Matt at one point, because when they fired Jeff because they thought they thought he was on drugs, and then they found that they because he walked out of a match, and then they realized he passed his drug test. Like, oh shit, oh sorry, come back. Oh, we'll induct you in the Hall of Fame, but not Matt. We'll induct Jeff and all that. And he's like, nah, man. So there's a timeline where we could have had Jeff in the Hall of Fame, but not Matt. But no, I think honestly, I don't think this will ever happen. But yes, I think in a perfect world, you could have, you could have the Hardy Boys inducted as a tag team, but also them individually. I think they're individually they got Hall of Fame careers as well. But yeah, not now, not yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think arguably, I think part of the reason why maybe they've non-induct the Hardy Boys, I think the various drug issues that they may have had, or the times in which they were both in different companies, I think may have had an issue. And because I think there may have been a time where we could have seen the Hardy Boys inducted earlier, when either one or both of them kind of left for a bit. But yeah, I'm just buying time to give JPO a chance to get in. Because what my plan is, because we've done 2 rounds, I'm going to give JPO 2 shots in a row just to catch him up.
Yeah. But you know, I don't mind our list so far, to be honest. It's pretty good.
Oh yeah,
I'm just amazed it took us this long to say a no. But like we went through 7 straight picks that all went through, and this was our first no, and it's based on the sole reason that they're not officially retired yet, and it's way too soon to be considered overdue. It's making me rethink my next pick a lot. That word overdue.
As much as I like Rey Mysterio, do you think that they only inducted him now so they could do that Dominic spot where he walked out?
So here's what I think happened. I think they were counting so hard on Batista being there, and the scheduling did not work out, that they're like, we're in California. Let's give it to someone who is not going to be in this business for 10 years. Well, I think they were like, Ray will be on his way out at some point.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
it might be kind of nice if we give a guy his flowers now while he's still alive and healthy enough to receive them. And they were just like, this also works for the story we're telling of like, we can have Dom be a dickhead who walks out on his father's happiest moment ever. But at the end of the day, this is kind of what Rey Mysterio has always been the exception to every rule that pro wrestling has ever had under the Vince McMahon era. And so it seems kind of fitting that he'd be the exception to the rule of what it means to get inducted into the Hall of Fame before you actually retire.
And I'm not so sure how close he is to being on his way out, because he's still only 48.
He wants to. He has said that he wants
50.
to retire at 50. Now, granted, Daniel Cormier wanted to retire at 40, and he ended up staying until I think he was like 42.
42.
But that's just because, like, I think the pandemic messed everything up in his timeline here.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and we've also got JPO here. JPO, how's it going?
Hello.
All right, now can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. But yeah, just to recap you.
Oh wait, we can't hear you now. What happened?
Yeah, now we can't.
Your mouth is moving, but words aren't coming out of it.
We heard you briefly. Yeah, yeah.
Oh dear.
We're experiencing technical difficulties.
But yeah, I mean, it's one of those ones like I mean, I'm one of those ones. I really don't like it when they do storyline stuff at the Hall of Fame.
I'm not a big.
Here's my thing is I think Dominic wanted to be there, but
I'm on
didn't
that.
want to show the
Yep, we can hear
emotion
you now.
and show that he was really proud of his father with the whole storyline going on.
Yeah.
Like, I
My
think even when he was being
apologies.
introduced, you could like kind of see Dominic's face.
No,
and
it's all good. Just to recap here, who's on the list so far? We've got Owen Hart, Ken Shamrock, Brian Pullman, Vincent Kennedy McMahon, David Arquette, The Rock, China, and we just said no to the Hardy Boys. I'll give him a chance to type out those.
Who else is
names.
that? Who else did I forget?
David Arquette.
Did he really stop?
Yeah,
1, 2,
yeah.
3,
No,
4,
David
5.
Arquette is on the list.
Oh,
Seriously.
okay.
Yeah,
Would
I
you know
told you
how
I
you
was going to
feel
try
about
for a
that
couple
with
celebrities.
But JP, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you that was on our second round, so I'm going to give you 2 picks in a row. So JP, who's someone you think is overdue to be in the Hall of Fame?
Oh, you said Wriggle's in it already, right?
Is he?
Was
no,
it?
no, we don't have him on there. So you
No.
can. You
Then
can
William
nominate-
Wriggle. William Wriggle.
Good.
Do I explain it?
I mean,
I'm
if you
You can if you want.
I'm
You can just
sorry.
say that.
Wake up.
Dude, I've been sleeping all day. I swear I was like with my phone multiple times. Wake up at 4. Wake up at 4. Wake up at 4. So, no, I just think he's a great ambassador behind the scenes. He's a great wrestler in front of the scenes here. You know, his career is wrapped up, which I do kind of take a little bit into account here. I find someone that says something bad about him. He's still leading the next generation. Yeah, I think he checks all the boxes, in my opinion.
Yeah. I definitely agree with William Regal. He's one of those ones that he's done a lot. I mean, I know he briefly sort of left to go to do something in AEW, then he went back, but yeah. So Jacob, what do you say about William Regal?
Yeah, he was on my list too. I think William Regal absolutely deserves it. And yeah, I've kind of been waiting, you know, barring the AEW year, but the last few years, like, all right, is Regal going to get it this year? Is he going to get it this year? I've kind of been waiting for it because I think, yeah, he's had a good wrestling career, but then all his behind the scenes stuff, his, you know, work as a general manager on NXT, I think was fantastic. I think he's like one of the best, you know, on screen authority figures that we've ever had. I think he's just incredible in that role, and so I think Regal's an easy yes for me.
Nico, what do you say about William Regal?
I don't know why he wasn't on my list, but he's a good person to put on this list. Has accomplished everything under the sun that wasn't the World Heavyweight Championship. Like everyone commends him as being one of the best teachers, the best mentors that you could have behind the scenes, a true student of the game. Not only that, he never took himself seriously. He was a British carny. He was happy to make a fool of himself for the sake of the show itself, and also probably the best general manager figure in the history of American wrestling. Like every other general manager style figure has been a pain in the ass to deal with at some point or another, but not William Regal. When he was running NXT, that show was awesome and so much better for having him in it. So yes, put him on the list.
And Richie, what do you say about William Regal?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's one of the best to never win the world title. I think he was about to in about 2008, and then I think he got done for steroids or something. That was something, but like he's definitely elevates anything he's part of. Even in his brief run at AEW, Kenny Little's wrestling, I like, it was great. I loved his flirting with Excalibur. So that's so funny. He's sober. He's so entertaining. Whether he's a serious heel, or funny baby face, or a funny heel. So absolutely. Just great mind for wrestling and very funny. If you haven't watched the the mock interview that RJ City does. The William Regal episode is very
The
funny.
Hey EW show.
The Hey, it's very funny.
I recommend every show. Crocodile on Sundays, y'all.
Yeah. So I recommend that. But yeah, William Regal's different. I love William Regal a bit. So Scrummy.
I think he deserves it just for his pronunciation of Umaga alone.
Umanga.
But JPO, who's your other one you're going to bring up?
All right, I'll try to do a quick fact check here so I can do a stat real quick. I'm going to go for a tag team is what I'm going to go for. Has anyone talked about Demolition yet?
Nope.
They're not in there?
No.
They are not in there. They are indeed another overlooked team. Several reigns as champions, 400 days, 150 days. I think they were the most over team at a time during that standpoint here. They were both kind of going. Smash was doing some stuff in WCW. Crush would even kind of go on to have a few more years. But yeah, for that time period, for that tag team division, I think they're the number one guys.
But Jacob, what do you say about Demolition?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's some, issues keeping them out right now, but hopefully those can get resolved. And because absolutely, like Jordan said, at the time, like they were the tag team, like they were pretty dominant, and so I think they absolutely deserve to go in as a team.
Nico, what do you say about Demolition?
Jacob, what are the issues that you think would keep them from being in there?
They were pretty sure they were part of that lawsuit against Vince, and there's
I think that's it. It's just little semantics of you went against us.
Okay.
You're on our shit list.
Yeah,
but criteria wise, they fit.
right.
So I'm kind of indifferent on this one, just because I always kind of viewed them as knockoffs of the Road Warriors, but it's is that really a reason to keep them out of the Hall of Fame? And they did set the tag team record that the New Day ended up breaking, and this is also a really dumb reason for putting them in there, but it's one that exists. They were unlockable characters in WWE 12 just by playing Universe Mode. So obviously they thought they were an important enough tag team to have them be guys that you could do that with. So yeah, I'm not going to complain if they're in there. I'm not going to complain if they're not in there. They're just existing in my eyes.
Richie, what do you say about Demolition?
Yeah, I think they're a great tag team. One of the few, the first tag teams to have a really bang, other than maybe Hogan, but have a really banger theme song. Here comes the axe. Here comes the smasher. Oh, it won't do all the song. We'll get over it. But they're really cool. You can make the argument that they were maybe LOD knockoffs, but they were still really good at the time. They had all the accolades, so yeah, I think they'll go on eventually. So okay, I'll say yes.
Yeah, I remember seeing some of their matches, but not a lot. I do remember unlocking them in Universe Mode in WWE 12. So these guys, but they're cool. But yeah, so I'm gonna say yes, Demolition. From what I've seen of them, I do think they're good. And I mean, they put people in for less. So, but Jacob, we go back to you. What is your next nomination?
So I'm debating between an announcer and a referee because I would love to see that included on the list too. I think I'm going to go with the referee, and I'm going to go with Earl Hebner. I think the amount of years he spent in the business, he was part of some major storylines, and so yeah. I mean, if we're ever going to induct a referee into the Hall of Fame, I think Earl Hebner deserves to be the first. I mean strictly a referee because I know Teddy Long did some refereeing, but that's not why he's in the Hall of Fame. So I think if we're just going strictly referees, I think Earl Hebner deserves to be the first. So that is my next choice.
I mean, wasn't the Ted Wright the referee that got in first?
Tim White,
Ted-
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but he was the warrior. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
he was the warrior award. So that's, I mean, like as an individual, like for their.
No, yeah. No, I know what you meant. But
yeah,
Nico,
yeah.
what do you say about Earl Hebner?
Let me ask you guys this: did he go to WCW at all?
No.
Okay. Here's where I'm struggling. Was he involved in a crucial angle with WWE? Yes.
Yes.
That's one angle. A lot of his most notable work, along with his son, has been in TNA/Impact. So I feel like he's maybe better suited to be in that Hall of Fame than the WWE Hall of Fame. And there are a couple other people that I kind of want to keep spots open for, just in case. So I'm going to say no to this one. I'll understand if he gets in, though.
But Richie, what do you say about Earl Hebner?
I don't know if I would like, and too worried about what angles he was involved in necessarily. I just think he's an iconic sort of referee. It's unfortunate. I don't know if he'll go. Just because the way him and his brother he got like released from WWE might have been a bit sour.
I would imagine enough time might have passed.
Time might have passed, yeah, because he got done for selling knockoff merchandise out of his truck. So,
which is a hilarious thing to be punished for, by the way.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's a very petty thing. I don't know.
You want this Stone Cold Scott Austin T-shirt, kid? Come on.
Yeah.
Oh heck, maybe.
Oh yeah. Hey. Oh heck, man. Oh heck, maybe. Yeah. Right. Like if you're gonna induct a referee, yeah, because I don't. It's weird. I don't like when I was a bit disappointed when they're like, because I was like. When they're like, oh, we're inducting referee, I'm like, oh, about time. And it's like, oh, too much in the Warrior Award. I'm like, that's cool. But it's like, I wanted the proper like induction. It's cool that he's acknowledged and stuff. But I don't know. I think if you're going to induct a referee the first time, that should be Earl Hebner. So I'll say yes.
JPO, what do you say about Earl Hebner?
I mean, I won't agree with that. I think Tim White is a perfectly fine choice. Don't forget, he probably in the end had just as much time, if not, I think way more time, because he's there with Andre and he's there way past Earl Hebner.
Oh yeah, true, fair enough.
So, no, I was down for him getting in, and I'm going to give this an absolute yes. I understand we all take this from different angles. Was he a big angle part? But man, I love to respect the people behind the scenes here. He did his job to the T, did it for a long portion of time. Is still remembered to this day. The fact that we're all talking about Earl Hebner, a guy that hasn't stepped foot in the WWE ring since whatever, something. So yeah, I'm gonna say a big yes. I think he definitely deserves it. Yeah, Pez. Him over here, he needs a storyline. Screw all the hard work.
Listen, my best friends that I still have in pro wrestling, aside from one, are all referees.
Not when I showed him that clip.
So is Pez. That's probably so. He was a referee as well.
I understand the joke here. I understand.
Yeah. But I mean, it's one of those ones because aside from Montreal Screwball, he actually was involved in a few other storylines as well. Because he spearheaded the.
He had a match at Invasion.
He beat Invasion with the greatest spear of all time.
Yeah, he was the first referee to be a playable character in WWF No Mercy.
You know, I hadn't been thinking about the invasion angle, so maybe I should take back my vote here.
I mean, it doesn't matter now because he is still going to make the list because I was going to say yes anyway. But yeah, I mean, if any referee deserves to be in that, that's not a Warrior Award. I think Earl Hebner is the one to do it. For reasons, I don't know if he will, because his reason for being fired in 2005 was because he was selling WWE merchandise without permission.
It was off. It was knockoff.
But he definitely deserves to be in. because just based on sort of everything he's sort of done and all that. But yeah, so he's going to get in here. And Nico, we go back to you for your next nomination.
All right. So this next choice of mine might be stretching the word overdue here a little bit, but I'm worried that she will become overdue at some point if she's not inducted sooner than later. Especially considering she is technically on her way out. She's in a storyline where retirement is a factor at play here. I'm talking about Mickie James. 6-time women's champion in WWE, multiple-time Impact women's champion. The first woman in history to compete in WWE's Royal Rumble with another company's World Women's Championship. She has been breaking down barriers since she came into the company, or at least finding ways to do so. Came in hot out of the gate with a rivalry with Trish Stratus, and just has continued on and on. Some of the stuff she was given was good. Some of the stuff she was given was bad, albeit the Piggy James stuff with Michelle McCool that eventually led to her leaving. And then she went on her runs in TNA. She came back to WWE after a while and did some underappreciated work with Alexa Bliss and Alicia Fox. And now she's back in Impact. In the process of her swan song, where she's had some great rivalries with Deonna Purrazzo, had a fantastic cinematic brawl that took place on her farm, where she and Deonna tried to literally murder each other, now she's like in this weird crossroads of like, is she about to hang it up? Is she going to stick around? Because she legit has an injury right now that will determine whether or not she vacates the Knockouts title. And she was in a storyline where if she loses the Knockouts title, that's her final match. She's done after that. So it's like the pieces are in place for her to have a Hall of Fame induction within the next year, depending on what happens with this Knockouts title situation that she's in. And I would like her to be inducted before it becomes the point that we're having to use the word overdue.
But Richie, what do you say about Mickie James?
Nico kind of made my argument for me, though. I love Mickie James. I think she's amazing. She's one of my. I think she's one of my favorite women. Favorite women to watch wrestle and to ever compete. I think she does a lot for women's wrestling. I love. I'm a huge. But is she Hall of Fame worthy? Yes. Is she overdue? I think she'll get it in the next few years. I don't even know if she's. I don't even know if retirement's like imminent. Like I think that the storyline was her road to the title. She's got the title. I don't know what she does when she loses the title. She might even have a small run in WWE, and then that's when she goes to gets the title. Gets the Hall of Fame induction. So yeah, I don't think it's like overdue. Like if we did this list, if we did a redux in 5 years and she's still not in, and you bring her up, yeah, I'll say yes. But as of now, she's not overdue, so I'll say no.
JPO, what do you say about Mickie James?
Yeah, I'm kind of on the Richie boat here. I love her to pieces. I'm definitely think sooner or later for sure. But again, she's potentially, like you said, could next March make sense? Yeah, but at the same time, it might not at all. She ends up turning heel and sticks around anyway, or who knows? There's all sorts of options here. Also, too, you could maybe argue her juiciest stuff is an Impact, but I think she's done enough in WWE, probably warranted. But yeah, maybe just not now to fit what we're talking about overdue. So I'm gonna say no.
Yeah, this is one of those ones like I'm not too sure about the rules for the WWE Hall of Fame when it gets inducted. If they have to be inducted full stop or just well, if they have to be inactive, full stop, or just inactive.
Rob Van
WWE.
Dam still had some indie dates when he was
Malcolm,
inducted.
here's the rules. There are no rules. Look at Rey Mysterio, look at Rob Van Dam. It's pretty much whatever they feel at the time.
And Kurt Angle was still fresh off of his run in the British Indies around the time they inducted him. And the thought process in my mind was they were going to keep him as an active competitor and not as a GM figure again when they brought him back. So, there are situations here and there.
I mean, that was my point. Is that, but just in the case of Mickie James, like I do like her. She is probably one of my favorite female wrestlers of all time. But she was only really like when she returned at the Rumble a few years ago. I think she's only just recently left within the last couple of years again. So I think in terms of WWE, I think that's pretty recent. I don't know. I like her. I do think she'll get in eventually. But yeah, I'm still going to say no to it for this point. Jacob, what do you say about Mickie James?
Yeah, I'm with the majority. I think she's had a great career. And yeah, like Richie said, if we're doing this again in 5 years and she's still not in and she's been retired for, 4.5 of those 5 years, and yeah, absolutely she will be overdue. But at this point, no. Hall of Fame worthy career, absolutely, but not overdue at the moment.
It was worth a shot. It was worth a shot.
Yeah, it's good. Go bring it up.
But with that, we go over to Richie. Richie, who's the next one you can bring up?
I'm going to go one out of left field here. Someone I probably haven't thought about who they don't usually bring these people up in the Hall of Fame, but I don't know if he'll get an induction in that way or maybe a Warrior. I don't know. But I'm going to go a guy who had a very instrumental part, especially in the Attitude Era, an instrumental part, and literally instrumental. That's a good word to use because I'm going to go Jim Johnson. I think Jim Johnson's a really integral part in the Attitude Era. He did all the music. He did one of the best themes probably ever in the Undertaker's theme song. He did a lot of the Attitude Era themes you know and love. He did like a lot of the Ruthless Aggression themes. He's one of the more talented like composers that that they've ever had. And I think his contribution to wrestling to WWE cannot be understated, and I think he deserves his flowers. I don't usually award people like without sort of in those roles like the Hall of Fame, but I don't know if unless it's the Warrior Award, I don't know if that's the way he gets in, but I still think. Yeah, he is Hall of Fame worthy for all the work he's done. So I'm going to give it a shot. Jim Johnson.
JP, what do you say about Jim Johnson?
I'm absolutely with it. He was my next I would have chosen too. Another guy that I think has just really added to it, and even more so than Earl Hebner, maybe an undersung hero because, again, Hebner you see, you know what I mean, on a weekly basis. Jim Johnson, unless you don't know necessarily. You don't really think about necessarily where these iconic songs come from here. Another guy that put in his time, has added to several iconic themes that we could all hum and enjoy. So I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, like especially when it comes to like behind the scenes, like whenever the themes come up, like everyone knows the ones if they're done by like famous bands and that, but no one ever really knows if it's Jim Johnson unless you are really sort of in that know. And I think Jim Johnson, I think he definitely deserves to be in just for all the themes he's done and just for what he's done, especially with the music and all that. And yeah, I mean, it's one of those ones like they've got a lot of celebrities and wrestlers in that, but they've until even though it was a Warrior Award, until Tim Wright, they haven't really sort of gave love to some of these unsung people before, and I think they need to. So I'd say yes for me. Jacob, what do you say about Jim Johnson?
I honestly would have said no, but that's only because we only got a couple spots left. Had Richie brought this up earlier, I'm like, yeah, absolutely. But I still think there's other people deserving. And I'm not saying he doesn't. I'm just saying with limited spots left, there's other people that I would have liked to see. But he's got 3 S's. I'm not mad at it, but I just personally would have said no, just to try to get some other people on, but not mad at it.
And Nico, what would you have said about Jim Johnson?
I just realized we had 2 spots left, and this has taken one of those 2. When Richie brought up musicians, I thought, "Oh no, is he going to bring up Limp Bizkit?" And I'm still annoyed with Kid Rock after everything that's gone down this week. Big deal. Your Bud Light is a rainbow color bottle. Who gives a shit? You, because you have a tiny dick and you're insecure about your about the way the world's going. Love and peace, everyone. Love and peace. Love who you love. But anyway, I'll simply say this. One of my favorite songs that Jim Johnston has done is Kurt Hawkins' theme song. I don't know why, but I like it. And I'll leave it at that.
But JPO, we go back to you. Who's your next nomination?
All right, guys, we've had a lot of bangers, but don't forget the Hall of Fame. You need a little bit of a mix here. And this next person is one of the most entertaining people we've had, I'd say, in the last 20 years. Ladies and gentlemen, get out your crowbars. Santino Marella deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Debuted winning the IC title here. He did the countdowns. He had fun. Every time that man appeared on your screen, you can't lie and say you didn't smile. And you still smile when you watch him to this day. Back at Santino Marella, too. Got his name back over in Impact. So, yeah, I think he's entertaining. I think he was capable in the ring. He almost won the fucking Rumble at one point. Almost won the Chamber at one point. People wanted it, too. Santino Marella.
Yeah, this is one of those ones where now I'm in a crossroads because it's someone that I did just thought of too late. But then you brought up Santino because he was on my list, and it's one of those ones because I think everyone's one of those ones that would go, yeah. I mean, the Hall of Fame has to be for people that can actually wrestle, and that Kid Rock's in there. That's not the case in the tub. Sorry, I didn't mean to bring him up again, but yeah, Santino Marella is just entertaining because just when he was Intercontinental Championship, just the whole every time he did the honker meter is something I always enjoyed watching, and I think he's the GM of Impact at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah, he's the director of authority.
But yeah, from everything Santino's done, I think he deserves to be in there. It's a grudgingly yes from me. Jacob, what do you say about Santino?
It's a no from me. Not to say he doesn't deserve it or he won't get in at some point, but when I think Overdue, it's like, oh, that guy's not in yet. Like that guy deserves to be in. I don't think that when people bring up Santino, I'm not like,
no, Santino.
I can't believe he's not in the Santina and Santino. I don't think. I can't believe he's not in the Hall of Fame yet. Like if he goes in, I will be happy for him. If he doesn't go in, then fine. When he goes in, and I will enjoy it. I'm sure I will enjoy his speech. But for the purposes of this list, like I don't think he's overdue. So I'm gonna go no.
Nico, what do you say about Santino?
So I looked in the comments section of the stream, and there's one name that's kind of staring me in the face that's on that comment section that makes me feel like that guy is more appropriate for this list than Santino. Is Santino hilarious and entertaining and everything you want out of a pro wrestler in terms of character? I'd say so. But is he someone who I've been clamoring to be in the Hall of Fame for the longest time? Not really. And maybe had he won the Rumble and won the Elimination Chamber, and by the way, I was one of those people who was excited to possibly see him to possibly see him win that chamber. Had he actually been the world heavyweight champion, I might be having a different tone. I might be singing a different tune here. But I think there's a name specifically from the Samoan dynasty that's in the comments section that we need to be looking at more than Santino Marella. So I'm going to say no here.
Manu.
Richie, what do you say about Santino?
Yeah, look, I reckon, yeah, it's one of those things that if we didn't have one spot left, I might have said yes. I do love Santino. He generally makes me laugh. There is one similar to him in terms of comedy that I think should go in as well, that I might bring up my moral mentions. But yeah, and he's still very funny. There was a segment the other day on Impact where like Vladimir Kozlov shows up, and then Fandango goes, "Is that no? We can't say his name, man. Copyright." It was really funny. But yeah, he's still very funny. Got great comedic timing. I think he's getting back in the ring in Rebellion, so that should be interesting.
He is.
Yes. Like in a 6-man, it's like the Design versus can't remember Santino and Cavallari. Two others. I can't remember who it is, but yeah, off the top of my head. He'll go in eventually, and it'll be really. His speech will be really fun. But yeah, one spot left. I can't say yes. I appreciate Jacob bringing it up. I think he is Hall of Fame worthy. Though. I do think he's Hall of Fame worthy, and he's generally one of the funnier people to. Yeah, he makes comedy segments work. And he's generally one of the funny people to ever be in WWE. So yeah.
Well, talking about Fandango, my next pick is not Fandango. But
Tyler
yeah.
Breeze.
No, honestly, there is one person I'm surprised has not been put in here yet. That is still really a big figurehead at the moment. But I thought, this is one of those people that I thought, oh yeah, he's aligned with this rest because he's a Hall of Famer and all that. But I am surprised Paul Heyman is not in the Hall of Fame yet. But I thought for sure, like, maybe it was a Mandela effect or that. I talked myself into that, thinking that Paul Heyman has been put in the Hall of Fame, and until I actually looked at it, preparation for this. But yeah, like Paul Heyman is probably a really good manager. I think, and even when he's not a manager, like he's a big part of WWE, and because when Brock sort of left, like they took Paul Heyman, took him off Brock, and gave him to Roman, and I think just everything that Paul Heyman does when he's in the ring, whether he's against like Cody Rhodes and just hyping up Roman or Brock or all that, I think it's just really good work, and I think he deserves. I think there was a period of time where he just wasn't active a lot in WWE, and then he came back with Brock and all that, and I think Paul Heyman deserves to be in here. So yeah, Jacob, what do you say about Paul Heyman?
Yeah, there were two people that I wanted to bring up, or we're hoping were brought up before Jim Johnston made it. Which, by the way, like I said, I'm not mad at. But there were two people that I wanted to bring up, or we're hoping would be brought up. Paul Heyman was one of them. I think absolutely he's overdue. I don't care if he's still active. He has had probably 2 Hall of Fame worthy careers in his one career, because you go back to his WCW days. I think that's what he's done there is Hall of Fame worthy, I think. And then you go to his WWE run, that's again Hall of Fame worthy from his initial run with Brock and Big Show and people like that. And then he made us care about Curtis Axel and Ryback, which is impressive. So I think he absolutely I think he's one of, like, in my opinion, one of the top 3 talkers ever. I think he's an incredible promo, and even when he's like, you see clips of him talking about like behind the scenes stuff, and he's just so captivating when he talks. Like when he talks, you listen. And so I think he absolutely is overdue. I think he should have made it every year for the last I don't know how many years, even though he's still very active.
Nico, what do you say about Paul Heyman?
I want to give it to him, but here's the thing. You kind of penalized me for the Mickey James stuff for the similar reason of still technically active. So, who was the other name you wanted to bring up, Jacob? Just let me get an idea of who you wanted to bring up.
Well, I'm next, so I'll bring it up if this doesn't go through.
Oh, okay. All right, I'm going to make this interesting, and I'm going to say no. For the simple reason of, like, you guys denied me Mickey James for similar reasons. So I feel like if we're going to try to be consistent here, then that means I can't let Paul Heyman in.
Richie, what do you say about Paul Heyman?
I might deny him for selfish reasons too, because I think this is one guy, and I've got a feeling it might be who Jacob brings up. That I think I just think he's more overdue than Paul Heyman. So, and if there wasn't one spot left, I would say yes. But this sucks because I think Paul Heyman should go in, but I don't think it's very special. So I will say no, but it's a stretch. But
He will get in when Brock has retired and Roman has excommunicated himself from him in kayfabe.
Yeah.
But JPO, it falls on you. What do you say about Paul Heyman?
Oh no, it falls on me. Oh god, because he is one of my favorites of all time. To the point where I even tried stealing his gimmick on the Indies. I'll admit it. Wore the hat, used a cell phone. My only hesitation is he's still very active at the top of his game, but goddamn, is he one of the GOATs? I'm gonna say yes.
Fuck.
And Paul Heyman does close off the list. Yeah, and
I think being active as a manager and being active as a wrestler are I don't know. I don't compare them the same, but
yeah,
I can see why you would.
Yeah, and it's as well as ones like because I mean I think the difference between Mickey James and Paul Heyman, comparing the two, just seems to be and first off, is that there was a big period of time where Paul Heyman wasn't on WWE TV, and I think he could have been inducted in that time. Mickey James was still fairly active, whether it's been in Impact or WWE or that in that time frame since she's been wrestling. So but yeah, it is what it is. We've got our 12 people here. But Jacob, what is some of your honorable mentions?
Yeah, so the one I would have brought up if Paul Heyman didn't make it was I was going to bring up Michael Cole. I think Michael Cole absolutely deserves.
Okay, another one I was thinking of
to be in. Much like Nico, I also saw the chat and saw Umaga. I think he absolutely deserves it. And then just another one that I probably would have brought up if we said a lot more no's than we did. But I think Finley is overdue for a Hall of Fame induction, not just for his on screen, but his behind the scenes work and his producer work as well.
Nico, what are some honorable mentions?
Michael Cole, Umaga were definitely up there for me. Is Victoria in the Hall of Fame? She was another one that I thought about. And then other honorable mentions were like R-Truth was one of them, but he's technically still active. He's just on the injured list. But the fact of him being, he's 50 plus years old and still moves so well and has done a lot.
As Molly Shannon said on SNL, he's 50.
He's done a lot for the business, and I'm like, give him a Warrior Award. You've given Titus O'Neil a Warrior Award. You can give.
I'd say I put him in normal. Fuck that Warrior Award.
Well, that too. And then just other mentions were like people from Japan who haven't actually competed in WWE.
I thought you were going to bring those up. I almost put them up.
And possibly not even WCW, but they've done so much for the business that you kind of should just put them in the Hall of Fame anyway. Specifically, guys like Giant Baba, Mitsuharu Misawa, Kenta Kobashi. I don't know if he's in there or not. I think Antonio Inoki is in there in like one of their special wings.
No, he's in there normally.
Oh, okay. And Jushin Liger's in there too. But it was like guys from all Japan and Pro Wrestling Noah who kind of made those companies what they are, made the Japanese style what it is today, and inspired the American wrestlers of today that currently work for WWE. Things of that nature.
Liger won in 2020.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay. I thought you were bringing him up.
No, I said he's in there.
Oh, okay.
I remember that.
Yeah.
But Richie, who are some more honorable mentions that you had?
All right, I got a few. I've been jotting them down. The one I thought Jacob was going to bring up, Bam Bam Bigelow, the best big man in this, the best big man ever, in my opinion. And then I was going to bring up, Fit Finley, a guy that sort of slows. Midnight Express. So I thought we were going to go in this year, but didn't end up going. APA. Tag team. Bull Nakano, great woman, ahead of her time, great women's wrestler. Cyndi Lauper for celebrities, I think she did a lot for with her status at the time. Actually, actually helped women's wrestling at the time. Got and it was a big reason why WrestleMania was a success at the time. R-Truth. I've got R-Truth as well. That's what I was referring to when I mentioned Lance Storm. Lance Storm, I think is still unheralded. I think he's a brilliant technical wrestler and deserves his flowers. Probably won't go in until he's been done with AEW at Christian. Christian's amazing. Still a great worker, great talker, great heel. And one at Christian, Edge and Christian should go in the tag team. Michael Cole, Victoria, Jazz, Taz, Raven, Big Show, Tommy Dreamer. For Japan, I was thinking Japan. For Japan, I put Hayabusa, and last but not least, just for his contribution to wrestling, I put Conan.
And JPO, what are some honorable mentions you had?
Yeah, let me look here in my list here. Not too many. Big D Malenko fan. I think he was killing it for a while there. Hot for a little while. Lex Luger, whether you like it or not, I feel like he has some good criteria. Psycho Sid. Hey man, world champ. If you got, I also shut the fuck up for a second. Shut the fuck up. I also have the criteria of like if you got Hillbilly Jim and like Coco Beware in there, a dude that main evented Mania twice, like that's kind of where I come from with that. Bam Bam Bigelow and Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah.
One more. I want to throw out one more, and I don't know if she's in there already. No, I was going to say Luna Vachon.
She's in there in a weird.
She's in the legacy, yeah.
In the legacy wing. I don't really like those legacy wings. So they're just kind of like, oh, by the way, these are in. They don't get their own.
Did you know her son was on a season of Hell's Kitchen?
No, I want to look that up now.
He genuinely was on a season of Hell's Kitchen. I know this because I recognized him from the Dark Side of the Ring episode about her, and I'm like, "Holy fuck, you were on Hell's Kitchen!"
Yeah, I mean it. One thing I forgot to mention at the start of the show, this is the timing of this episode is kind of unfortunate now. Rest in peace to Bushwhacker Butch, who was a Hall of Famer.
He made it. The Bushwhackers made it into the Hall of Fame, though.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, I know.
We're talking Hall of Fame, and we lost Hall of Fame.
Unfortunate timing because of the passing of the Hall of Fame. But a lot of my list, is people that I think will eventually get in or are technically in because they're part of a tag team. Because like I had Triple H as a solo induction. I'm surprised that actually hasn't happened yet. I know he's kind of technically active-ish. I had CM Punk and Chris Jericho, but once again, other companies and all that. I did put John Cena on the list, but I didn't bring him up because I do think he will eventually get in.
He'll get a Warrior Award just for his Make a Wish stuff alone.
I mean, I think he'll. I mean, honestly, I think whether or not it's a Warrior Award or it's an actual,
he'll get both. He'll get both. I guarantee you, he'll get both.
I mean, as I said, I'm not saying it's not going to happen. The only reason I didn't bring him up is because I still think it's going to happen. Just Evolution as a faction, I'm surprised hasn't been put in yet.
Yeah,
but whether or not they're waiting for Batista to be able to be there, I don't know. And as a sort of a random pick, but Eugene, I think is an entertaining.
No, I'm sorry. Nah.
Hey,
I love Nick Dinsmore. Eugene just I don't no. If Nick Dinsmore was able to go into was able to wrestle as Nick Dinsmore, he could be a Hall of Fame dude. He's a good wrestler, but not as Eugene.
But some that people brought up in the comments, got Finley and Hornswoggle, Dustin Rhodes or / Goldust.
Yeah, Dustin Rhodes. Yeah.
Melina
could go in. Yeah.
Gangrel,
just for the entrance, sure.
Chavo.
Yeah.
But for that we're going to vote on the order now. So basically we vote on what we want at 12 and so on by voting whiteboard or saying it, because if you don't have whiteboard handy,
I really need to buy a new whiteboard.
But Jacob, who do you have at 12?
Jim Johnson.
Nico.
Jim Johnston is the Warrior Award recipient here.
Richie.
I'll go. Yeah, I didn't think. Sorry, I didn't even think. Yeah, out of all of them, probably Jim Johnston.
JPO, who do you have at 12?
You guys are crazy. I like Scream, but David Arquette.
And I was the one that brought it up, but just because I think he will eventually get in, I put Vince McMahon. But with that, Jim Johnson is going to be 12. And we move on to number 11. Nico, who do you have for 11?
Now we go with David Arquette. Wait, actually, this is going to be controversial. I'm actually going to go with Brian Pillman.
Richie, who are you going for 11?
It is controversial. It's too controversial. That's why I'm going to David Arquette.
JPO.
David Arquette.
I'm sticking with Vince, but David Arquette. But moving on to number 10, Richie, who do you have?
Ken Shamrock.
JPO, who do you have at number 10?
Earl Hebner.
Sticking with Vince, Jacob.
I'll go Ken Shamrock.
And Nico.
Who's picked what?
So,
I picked Ken Shamrock. JPO picked Earl Hebner. And Jacob picked Ken Shamrock. And so now it's just you. And
I'll go with Earl Hebner so we can have a tie break.
And Aussie old one out. And I'm going to go with Ken Shamrock. JPO, who do you have for 9?
Earl Hebner.
Sticking with Vince, Jacob,
Earl.
Nico,
I still say Brian Pillman.
and Richie.
I'll go Earl Hebner.
Bill Hebden is going to be 9. Yeah, no, I'm going to stick with this. Vince, Jacob,
I'll go Brian Pillman here.
Nico,
Brian Pillman.
Richie,
Yeah, now I'll go Brian Pillman. There you go, Nico.
APO.
Brian Pillman.
Brian Pullman is going to be number 8. Just to recap who's left, we've got Owen Hart, Vince McMahon, The Rock, China, Regal, Demolition, and Paul Heyman. Jacob, who do you have for 7?
Paul Heyman.
Nico,
Demolition.
Richie,
Yeah, I'll go Demolition.
JPO,
Demolition.
second with Vince, but Demolition is going to be at 7. But Nico, who do you have for 6?
Yeah, all right. We'll go with Paul Heyman.
Richie,
I'll go William Regal.
JPO,
William Regal.
sticking with Vince, Jacob.
Paul Heyman.
We have a tie.
Love
Yep.
So you go.
Just because Paul Heyman is still somewhat active, I'm going to go Paul Heyman. Oh, that was tough, though. Richie, who do you have? Who do you want for 5?
I'll stick with Regal.
JPO,
Regal.
Vince, Jacob,
Regal.
and Nico.
William Regal.
JPO, who do you want for 4?
China.
Sticking with Vince, Jacob,
I'll go Vince here.
Nico,
Owen Hart.
Richie,
I'll give you Vince here.
and Vince is going to be 4.
So who we got left? We got China Rock and
Owen Hart, China, and The Rock.
okay, yeah, cool.
And Heyman.
No,
wait.
no.
Heyman's number 6.
Well, who's left?
China Rock Owen, like you said.
The Rock,
Oh, okay.
China, we've only got 3 left.
I was getting my numbers mixed up. Sorry about that.
It's all good.
I'm not going to bother writing anything down. I'm going to go for The Rock here. Jacob,
China.
Nico,
Owen.
Richie,
China.
and JPO.
China.
China is going to be number 3. And then we've got The Rock and Owen Hart left. And we're going, instead of going for number 2, we're going straight to number 1. Nico, who do you want for number 1?
Gotta be The Rock.
Richie,
No, it's going to be on Hart.
JPO.
It's The Rock, baby.
Yeah, it's got to be The Rock, Jacob.
No, when you think Overdue, you think Owen Hart, not The Rock.
So I think it's the Rock with 3.
Yeah, it's a Rock 3. So everyone else.
But yeah.
Heart being overdue for over a decade now.
Yeah.
Haven't been talking about The Rock that long.
True. But with that being said, our top 12 for WWE Superstars, we think overdue. At 12, we've got Jim Johnson. At 11, we've got David Arquette. At 10, we've got Ken Shamrock. At 9, we got Earl Hebner. At 8, we got Brian Pullman. At 7, we got Demolition. At 6, we got Paul Heyman. At 5, we've got William Regal. At 4, we got Vincent Kennedy McMahon. At 3, we got China. At 2, we got Owen Hart. At number 1, we got The Rock. But that's the end of ranking for today. Next week, I'm just going to double check the poll just to be sure what is winning there. But I believe it is Matt Damon movies. Yep, next week is going to be top 12 Matt Damon movies.
So Jimmy Kimmel is guaranteed not to watch.
Apologies, Matthew.
I was going to try and get Jimmy Kimmel on as a guest. But for that, we're going to go to plugs. I'm going to go to JPO first. JPO, where can people find you online?
Yeah, guys, when I'm waking up on time for my shows, find me over at The Pierce Co. Fun movie stuff, and then Pierce Wrestling, fun wrestling stuff. Thanks for having me, Malcolm. Appreciate it.
But Jacob, where can people find you online?
Yeah, you can catch me over at the Movie Hero Network. I do a lot of stuff over there. Tournament fights, tier rankers. The Lonely Marks, our wrestling show this week. Because JPO won the WrestleMania predictions, he has given us the task of booking next year's WrestleMania using the current roster. So that'll be fun. And then Austin Howell and I do a podcast about movies. We have to schedule our next one and whatever that topic is, but it's usually a fun time. So yeah, catch me over there.
You have to be quick before Vince fires a lot of the people that we recently rehired. But Nico, where can people find you online?
Nico Suave Reguli on Facebook, at Nico Furioso PW on Twitter and Instagram. I really need to change that handle. Nicholas Starhart on YouTube, twitch.tv/Nicholas Starhart for Twitch. Also, the Reconnecting with the Force podcast. It's on various platforms, but it's been kind of asleep for like the past couple months because I don't know how time management works. I put too much on my plate and couldn't really get to the Attack of the Clones episode we were supposed to do, but I will get back to that podcast at some point. Also, May 21st. I forget the address right now, but the PBJJF, that's a submission grappling organization. They're holding a tournament here in the Pittsburgh area. I will be competing in that in the no-gi divisions for absolute and 181.5 pounds. So wish me luck with that. I'll do my best. I have not really been winning a lot in that realm lately, but then again, I had 5 years off from competition, so cut me a break. I'm trying to get back to where I was before.
Richie, where can people find you online?
You can find me tomorrow, I think, doing a draft with JPO, doing the four Chris's. It's Chris Pratt, Chris Pine, Chris Evans, and Chris Hemsworth.
Wow, way to just forget about Chris Rock.
I almost forget. Yeah, and
fuck Chris Rock. I'm sorry. No, Kid Rock. Fuck Kid Rock. That's
Kid
what
Rock. Yeah. Chris Rock is, So check that out. Yeah, like Jacob said, Lonely Marks. I believe JB3 will be joining us on that as well. So check that out.
Yeah, I need to let him know.
No, you need to let them. And I mean, I'll just throw it out. Like, if you ever, we usually do drafts and do dream cards. If there ever, we'll let you know the topic. Is there ever a topic that you're interested in, Nico? If you want to join us, you can pop in and do a draft if you want.
Wait, what now?
For Lonely Marks. like like our podcast. We do drafts and stuff sometimes. So I don't know, like ruthless aggression wrestlers who we just draft people, or so if you want to pop in on a draft or something, or some topic that's interesting in you, just pop us a message.
Send me the information of what you got coming up.
Yeah, okay, no worries.
We don't even know what we got coming up.
Yeah, we just go week to week. But yeah, just depends who wins prediction contest usually. But yeah, and then on my TV podcast, Telling Miss Freeman. It's and then doing Thanksgiving next, which would be interesting. And other than that, just wrestling trivia on Combat Wrestling Trivia. Facing Hunter Chambliss next. I believe I'll let you know, Nico. I actually wanted the winner of who are you facing next? It was Nico. It was you and was it you and Noah?
Yeah, it is me and Noah, or at least it was scheduled to be. But I think me and Paul might have a date coming up.
Okay, I was petitioning a cast to face the winner of you and Noah, but he's not giving me that yet. So I'm facing Hunter, but I want to face you eventually. So I'll be facing Hunter Chambliss next week at some point. So check that out. And
we all know if the Hall of Fame was up to Vince McMahon, Omos was getting inducted next year. With that being said, you can find me on Take 3 hosting Rankin every week. Matt Damon movie is happening next week. You can also find me popping up every now and then on the Movie Hero Network. I believe I'm going to be on Jacob's show doing the 32 movies of his favorite movies of his year, his birth, excluding this year. I'm going to be doing one next day, which is I'm going to be teaching people about New Zealand actors that they may or may not realise that they have heard of. And you can find me doing trivia over on Full Metal, and I'm everywhere. But until next time, keep listing shit.
And thanks to you, that's over now, and you've ruined that for me.